Hello, welcome back. Last video we installed brand new diodes. They're right here. You can see I haven't clipped the leads on them yet, so they're sticking out. So we bolted those in, so we're ready to solder them, and we'll go ahead and do that now. This time I did put a bigger tip on my iron due to these large heat planes or pores, solder pores, heat spreaders, you know, whatever you want to call them. Gonna go ahead and solder these puppies in. So I'm gonna give them a little bit of time to get heat into the copper pore, and then go ahead and make sure that we get solder to flow all the way through the entire hole or via. That's probably good. And usually you can tell once you got enough, you'll see you can build up a little bit on it, and then it'll, once the other side gets hot enough, it'll suck it through to the other side. You actually see the fillet drop down. And this is discharged, so I'm not going to do anything by accidentally, resting my hand on the board or anything. There you go. And the only thing left is to go ahead and cut the tips off. And I like to grab a hold of them so they don't go flying. So you don't want that to go flying, because it can get somewhere where you don't want it to get, cause problems. Now, one other thing that I always like to do is, if you were to get really close and look, there's exposed copper now. When you cut off the pin, you end up with exposed copper on the bottom side. And that can corrode very easily, and actually corrode inside. And then you end up with corrosion all the way through and just the outside tin that's holding everything together. So what I usually do is, and I recommend this, but not everybody does it. I really think they should, because I can tell like a lot of these are exposed copper. They didn't go back through, but I always like to go through and just touch up the end so that it is actually covered. And it's for if you've got something that's going to be out in the field for a really long time, you want that. so it doesn't just corrode out the copper and then just leave the tinned part, because the tin is really good at corrosion resistant, whereas the copper will turn green and then corrode pretty quickly. And then the other thing I like to do is go back and clean it up, get rid of the flux. So just a bit of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and a Q-tip, and just go back through and just get rid of the excess flux. Just make it look nice and neat. Everybody likes a neat board. There you go, soldered. Just let that dry, and then got to get that EEPROM cloned, and then we'll have to drop that in, drop in the cloned one. Oh, you know what? We've got this area over here that I kind of want to fix too. It's probably okay, but it is starting to come off. Let me see if I got a pair of tweezers. Here we go. So if I were to go like this, you can kind of see where where it's burned through, and you've got exposed copper. So, and what looks like it happened is you got the 6 MOSFETs here, and every other one is in parallel. So this guy, and this guy run parallel. And what looks like happened is, you know, you got current flowing this way down through here, so you got 1/3 of it coming in from there, and then this guy's coming in hooked up, so now you got 2/3, and by here this guy's hooked up, so you've got now all of the current flowing through it, and this is the narrowest point, and it got really hot, and we already know that the output stage was shorted, and that caused all of the a lot of current to be flowing into the primary on the transformer, and that caused this whole section in here to get really hot and burn the solder mask up pretty good. It's carbonized it, and you can kind of see that the copper itself is no longer this isn't very good. It's kind of pulling up, so we're going to go ahead and probably just etch up or scratch up some of this soot off of here, carbon, and then just lay a chunk of wire in there and solder it on there. It'll be fine. We'll just bypass that chunk and at least get it to where it's working. I mean, I think this would be okay, but just want to make sure that it works for a long time. So I'm trying to see if I've got anything useful. And this might work. Go ahead and see if I can't. How bad is it? Yeah, it's coming off pretty good. Yeah. See if I got anything else that's better suited to this. A little tiny one here. See what that looks like. Yeah, you just want to get all the burnt solder mask off. Get down to some good copper. Problem is, it looks like it started corroding already. And this screw is not part of the circuit, so for now, I think we're going to pop him out. Just to give us some working room. And what we can do is we'll solder in a little piece of wire, just give this some better integrity across this bad spot here. And then we'll also go ahead and coat the whole thing in with just solder so that it doesn't corrode. Actually, probably just covering in solder would do pretty good. I might just do that instead of soldering a piece in there. Well, it is kind of coming up. Well, I'll solder in a wire. Or I could do what they did over here and solder in some braid of some kind. You know, I could just solder in some solder wick. Put a piece of solder wick across there. Not be bad. Give it some structural integrity. Go ahead and clean that off. Looks like this battery charger's been through a lot. Healthy life of charging batteries, and then something went wrong. Well, at least we got some nice shiny copper exposed. Okay, let's see what we got that we can put across there. Just put a piece of wire. Kind of liking the idea of just putting some solder braid across there, just to strengthen it up through this gap here. Actually, I'll go ahead and cut off the edge here. Sure. Why not? What do you think? Good enough government work? Probably. Just want to bridge over that weak spot. I think that'll get it done. Go ahead and just get a little bit of copper going on here. Get that end tacked. Do the same to this end. Where's my tweezers at? Go ahead and make sure we're tacked over here. And make sure we're tacked over here. And then we'll do this with the middle here. Not too shabby. Then we'll go ahead and fill this up with solder just to keep it from corroding. Actually, I want to keep this liquid for a little bit. Make sure that's making good contact. There we go. Go ahead and do that over here too. And last but not least, we'll get this section in through here on the other side. There you go. No exposed copper. I like it. Let that cool off, and then we'll go ahead and clean up all that flux. I think that'll work. Not the most professional thing on earth. Yeah, I dropped a bunch of alcohol came out, but oh well. There we go, not too shabby. Nice and shiny. I just want enough solder on that to prevent it to keep it from corroding too bad. That'll work. Last but not least, there's a screw. Here it is. Put that back in. Maybe. There you go. Perfect. So I got that little bad spot corrected. It doesn't look too bad. So yeah, that should be it. There's a few other spots on here that look kind of terrible, but just, yeah, they're okay. They're good enough. I mean, you can tell that this whole section here got really hot at some point too, but that was the weakest spot right there, because you got current flowing across this bus. You can kind of see. And then even on the input side here, you can tell this whole area has been really hot too, where all the power comes in through the MOSFETs here. So you got this guy, and then this guy, and that's where it got the hottest. Going around through here to the primary and the transformer, and then this is all the return. Going back, and you can see it got a bit warm over here too. But everything else looks pretty decent, so I'm not going to go through and add anything else. It looks like it's decently constructed. And yeah, doesn't look too bad. So this, once we get that prom in there, this should be ready to turn on and see if there's anything else wrong with it. Could be could have other issues. It's usually a reason why things blow up. But it could be just one of the diodes on here failed, and that was the entire problem. And now that, that it's got new ones in there, the output will be fine. Or somebody could have hooked it up backwards, and that would cause issues too. That would pop the, well, you know what? They're rated for 400 volts. They probably, I don't know, I have to think about it. I had to look at the schematic to see if that would do any damage if you hooked it up backwards. But, I don't know. Other than that, yeah, I think that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.